La venta de un día en Macy's es ahora, con ofertas del día increíbles en básicos para la vuelta a la escuela que necesitan ahora, como un 40-50% menos en ropa para niños y juniors, 25-50% menos en mochilas, bolsos y accesorios, y ahorra un 40% en pequeños electrodomésticos de Bella, Crux y más para preparar su dormitorio. Además, descarga la aplicación para aún más ofertas del día increíbles en Macy's. Ahorro sobre precios en oferta y liquidación, aplican excepciones.
Holy guacamole, spectators. We are so happy you tuned in for this ultra-orgasmic episode of Spectales. I'm the host, not to be confused with Mr. Peanut, Jake, alongside the real monocled menace of the South, Jesus. What's going on, Jesus?
Guacamole, huh? Is it because it's Hispanic Heritage Month, Jake? Is that what's going on now? But in all realness, if you haven't had guacamole, you need to have it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say anything about tamales. That would have been a DC thing to do, really. That look.
Yeah, please don't stay there. Let's just stick on guacamole, avocados from Mexico. You guys know the deal. I don't know why I'm pitching them, but they're delicious.
If you are a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out. Spectales is a comic book podcast that has collectors and creators. What's your grail tale? Each week, we explore new stories about the comic book grails we love, the epic journeys behind how they were obtained, and how they inspired new creativity.
We also dive into some comic book speculation and how, as collectors, we can help the hobby pay for itself.
So this week, Jesus, we have Chris and Aaron from the Oblivion Bar podcast on the show. We are reciprocating from when they had us on their show about 2 or 3 months ago, right?
Yeah, we got a chance to be on their show. These guys are a blast. It's always fun talking to them about comics. And on the show that we were on for them on the Oblivion Bar podcast, we talked about the DCEU and how, to that point, it was just a mess. So they reciprocated. They're on now. And on our show, we actually got double everything.
Double mint gum? Double
the recent pickups, double the grail tales. And guess what? Double the speculation.
Speculation. Well, it really is a lot of fun. I can't wait for everybody to listen to it. But if you missed it, I want you to go back. Last week, we actually dropped a special edition episode of Spectales where we discussed Phenomena with our good friend and artist, Andre Lima Araujo. Go back and check it out. We dropped it Friday of last week. Phenomena he did the art for. Brian Michael Bendis was the writer. It was a fantastic episode. We just dove all into that. There's no grail tales. Like I said, it was a special edition episode. Really worth listening to, and we hope you guys go back and listen to it.
Yeah, we got into some deep conversation with Andre. And on top of that, too, you missed out a little bit. We talked about Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, which, this was the last issue that came out. I haven't read it. If you spoil it, Jake, I'm going all the way up to Nebraska and I'm dueling you. I'm getting my white glove off and I'm slapping you across the face and we're dueling. Do not spoil it.
Are we dueling with pistols or are we dueling with swords?
No, we're eating spicy food. That's the only duel I know.
Okay. Oh, like guacamole?
Yeah, like hot ones.
You know what? That's enough of this guacamole mumbo jumbo. We got to get to this episode, Jesus. So stop being a lost soul swimming in a fish bowl and shine on, you crazy diamond. This is episode 60.
This is a conspiracy. That's what this is.
Just begging to course its way through your veins.
Let's just for a moment speculate, shall we?
You're into comic books, aren't you?
I'm a nerd.
But you do like comic books.
Comic books aren't just for sad nerds anymore.
Do you think we need one more?
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Do you think we need one more?
Objection, calls for speculation, move to strike.
This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea.
All right, we'll get one more.
Spectales, a comic book podcast with Jake and Jesus.
Hello, we are back and better than ever for another episode of Spectales. This week, the Beardinator and I are being joined by two of the most influential podcasters in the geek podcasting game. Of course, I'm naturally referring to Christopher Hacker and Aaron Knowles from the Oblivion Bar podcast. Guys, thank you for joining the show.
Hey.
A ring-a-ding-ding-ding.
Here we are. Glad to finally be on the Spectales. Woohoo!
Yeah, we're glad to have you guys on. Thank you guys for joining. If anybody hasn't heard you guys or your podcast, it's It's great. Please go and check them out. I really enjoy listening to them since Jake put me on to them. So very excited to have you guys on.
Yeah, thank you.
Especially Chris's heavy breathing.
Just back away from the mic when you're not talking, Chris.
Yeah, that's the best part.
I'm kidding. He yells at me. He yells at me.
Exactly. Yeah, no, thank you both very much for being on. We're reciprocating this. We were on your show back in June, episode 80. You know what? Don't worry about the month. Go back to episode 80 and listen to where we discuss the DCEU, which has only become more confusing, by the way, since we talked about it.
We should have waited. We're literally 2 weeks out of Ezra Miller just going around and kidnapping people. It's been madness. So it's actually today our longest episode. So, and we were so happy to have you guys on. We all had to like basically pee out 2 hours of just nerdum after all of it. Like, I know we all were like, our bladders were exploding by the end of it.
Yeah.
You know what's really awesome? It's amazing how fast Ezra Miller fucked that up.
Are we allowed to curse on this show?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We get asked that a lot, actually. That's funny.
I just went for it.
Yeah, no, not
give us not permission.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're right, man. It went from bad to worse, and I didn't think it could. Whenever they say, what does that mean? Your worst day so far, with Homer telling Bart, this is the worst day of my life, and he says your worst day so far. That's kind of when we recorded it, because I didn't think it'd get any worse, and it's in shambles right now.
Oh, DCEU, gotta love it, but you also gotta hate it. Yeah, and then we missed Batgirl, which
Brendan Fraser, the whole Brendan Fraser renaissance. We don't get to see him as Firefly, which that kind of sucks.
Luckily, we have The Whale, though, still coming out. As long as DC doesn't try to cancel a movie that's not actually in their universe.
Can they cancel A24 movies? Because they will if they can, for the tax write-off.
I thought it couldn't get worse, but now that's a possibility. That's in the realm possibility now with DC.
But yeah, no, it's awesome being here. Obviously, to kind of echo what you guys are saying, we are so happy to be here because not only are we friends just in normal, like day-to-day life, but you guys put on a great show, great production. I'm often very impressed with what you guys do here at the Spec Tales. You've got some great creators on. I honestly, like I said, and I know you guys have only been doing it, you haven't been doing it as long as we have, but your quality is up there with some of the best out there as far as nerdy podcasts go.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot.
Stroke fest over here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's keep it going. Hey, I'll take all the compliments. But in all seriousness, you guys were one of the podcasts that we were listening to before making podcasts. And as a compliment, we specifically tried to not cover anything you guys were already covering because you guys were killing it, already doing what you were doing. So Jesus and I basically said, we love those guys. Let's do something else. And so we just looked a different direction.
I love your format. I love what you guys do and what you talk about. And not because it's different than what we do, but because it's different and it's not something that we do. And so it's definitely another, I'm serious. It's definitely another like avenue of, as somebody, again, because of Chris and also because of your show, actually getting into comics, like enjoying the art, enjoying the collecting of it, going out and finding my grails, going out and finding my, it's so much fun having you guys as kind of a resource for something that I had no idea about, as well as Chris being there to kind of hold my hand literally and
ever so gently.
Ever so gently, so it's I don't know. I feel blessed to have you guys as a resource and obviously Chris as well.
Hey, don't overlook Chris though. Chris is a smart guy. I mean, the listeners out here can't see what Chris is wearing, but he decided to wear his Spec Tales JJ the Tater Tot t-shirt. And that he gets bonus points for that. That may come into play down the road, as we start tallying up the points for the episode at the end.
Yeah, there's points. I forgot to tell you guys about it. When we have two people on, we tally up points.
Yes. Aaron and I we love a competition. One of our segments on the Oblivion Bar is literally Battle Royale, where we take 5 random fighters across literature, science fiction, comics, movies, television, video games, put them up against each other, debate it out. It's one of our favorite segments, and if we can make it into a competition, we will.
All right, listeners, for all you out there who are new to the Spec Tales podcast, we do 3 basic segments on this show. We kick every show off with recent pickups, where we go around the horn and everybody talks about a book or collectible that they recently picked up. It doesn't necessarily have to be a comic book. Aaron, it could be a video game. I know you're the gamer in the room here. Then we go into the Grail Tale segment, where Chris and Aaron will each get an opportunity to tell their Grail Tale, which is about a book or a collectible or something that means a lot to them and why, and maybe the story behind how they got it. And then we will close the episode with speculation. We're going to talk about books or collectibles that we believe are going to become more valuable in the future, and therefore you may want to pick them up now. So is everybody clear on what the rules are to the game?
Can you go over that one more time and slower, please?
Let's go into the first segment.
Recent pickups.
I can always tell when somebody's messing with me, and Chris, you were messing with me.
Jake, every time we text, I literally don't know. You have the driest sense of humor, and I'm always like, I think he's messing with me right now. And I don't. When you're serious one of these days, I'm gonna have no idea. I'm gonna be like, you little trickster every time.
I'll be serious when unfortunately something really bad happens, and then you're not gonna believe me. But I guess that's the whole boy who cries wolf thing that I've got going on. So, Jesus, would you mind doing us the favor by kicking us off on this recent pickup segment?
Yeah, I'm actually going to vary off of what I was going to do. I was going to talk about 2 trades because I'm 95% to the finish line on these trades. Jake knows about them, but we haven't gone all the way through. It's like, we're 95% there. All right. And we're walking our way, underneath the football stands, but we're not there yet. Okay, guys. So
are you teasing the listeners? You're not even going to tell them what the trades are?
No.
He's like, I got 2 really cool trades, but I'm not going to tell you what they are.
Maybe next week, everybody.
I got my taste of trading recently, and now it's been like, do you want to trade? Do you want to trade? Like, that's my first question to anybody. Do you want to trade? Like, no, I'm trying to claim some book off of you. No. Do you want to trade? I don't. So instead, I will talk about these that I reread. We had Andre Limaraujo on recently, and we were talking about Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. I'm so behind on it. I wanted to go back and read it, so I read the first 3 again. And I wanted to talk about, 1, A Righteous Thirst, and then 2, the second book. But A Righteous Thirst, like we talk about all the time, is really, it's a slow burn, but the visuals as well. And something that Andre has always talked about, and he does also in Phenomena, is there's a lot of panels with no words. They're just, moving through the story, you're gathering what's going on, you're using your context clues, but he just presents it so well. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really, really great storytelling from him. I have the rest of them. I don't know where they're at, but I need to get them, and I'm going to finish reading it. So Righteous Thirst for Vengeance is my recent read. And then this book, which Savage Avengers #1, this is a variant copy.
Nice.
And the juxtaposition to me on this, Jake doesn't really read a lot of like big 2 Marvel DC. I don't as well, but sometimes I do whenever like it gets buzz going or people tell me to read it and things. So this one's one that people told me to read and pick up when it came out. So I have 1 and 2. And the difference in, for example, something like this in an indie like Righteous Thirst for Vengeance is it's so like, it's not convoluted, but they just pack it with so much stuff in all the visuals, right? In this book, the Savage Avengers in this book are Electric Daredevil, Anti-Venom, Dane Whitman with the Cursed Blade, so Black Knight with the Cursed Blade, Weapon H, which is one of my favorite characters, Conan, and who's the last one?
Cloak and Dagger in it.
Cloak and Dagger.
And what I also think it's the guy on the cover there, who I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's also
Deathlock.
Thank you. Yeah, I was about to say Deathhead, but I was like, that's not right.
Deathlock. Yeah, and Deathlock is as of this issue 1, I'll ruin it a little bit because it's a little bit older. A couple months it came out ago. He's like this overpowered guy from the future coming back. He reminds me of Terminator, like a T2 Terminator, and it's just awesome how like it could be done wrong in so many ways, but the Marvel, I guess, equation or formula is spot on. And it brings me back to, like, at first I was like, oh man, this is too much stuff. And I was like, wait a second, you got Weapon H now? Okay, now you're talking to me now. And I just kept reading it and I was like, man, this is what Marvel does. So I almost want to say, obviously, there's a difference between the big 2 and indie, but there's even more in the nuance of it, and it is what it is, right? Just like an MCU movie versus, you know, a DC movie, or however you want to put it, or regular movies or any movies. But I still enjoy them. I know, Jake, you don't.
Well, I want to take some umbrage in it because I read the big two, because I am just about to finish A Nice House on the Lake, and I'm a big fan of that.
That's not the big two. That's not the big two.
It says DC on the cover.
It's DC. It is.
I don't consider it big two. Why is it called Black Label? Why do they have to create a separate label for it, Jake?
Because they stupidly destroyed Vertigo. Like they literally could have put that.
They just need Vertigo back.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't consider it. I don't, man, because I mean, I do. It's
always Batman shows up. It's not the big two. Okay.
Yeah, like I mean, you guys know what I'm trying to say. Like the big superhero stuff, the big, you know, what is it called? Tentpole, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that. You don't read it. When was the last time you read something like that, Jake?
It was the Avengers Swamp Thing crossover, which was not as good as I wanted it to be.
How long ago was that?
Or I'm sorry, Avengers Man Thing. Swamp Thing, Man Thing, almost the same person.
So that was like a year ago, right?
Watch it.
I think that it's been a good 9 months probably since I picked up the book and actually read it. So it's been long enough. I probably should go back. I also Dark Crisis. I'm enjoying that relatively. And World's Finest. I am reading World's Finest as well. They're doing some things in that as far as writing goes. So,
hey Zeus, have you read Step by Bloody Step by Cy Spurrier? That's an Image book.
Step by Bloody Step.
It's a relatively new book. And the reason why I asked is because it's an all visual comic. There's no words.
Oh,
so it reminded me of what you were saying there in the beginning. And it's great.
I'm going to write that down. Step by
Bloody Step.
Yeah. If I can just a quick shameless tease, maybe.
Do it.
If you are enjoying the Savage Avengers, make sure you subscribe to the Oblivion Bar podcast, because we may have someone on the show in the next couple of weeks who had a big part in that story.
Oh,
look at that. That's a professional tease. A professional tease right there.
There you go. We're dealing with pros here, Jay. Come on. We got to step our game up, man.
Spoilers. It's the writer. All right. There we go. Moving on.
Wow. True professional.
All right. Well,
I couldn't help it. I got too excited.
Chris, I was going to go to you after Jesus, but since you just, blew that load, Aaron, go ahead and I'll let you go first.
Okay, so that was a little, so recent pickups, right? Recent finds?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to try and make this quick because I actually have a couple of books that I picked up that I'm pretty excited about. Nice. The first one is just a pamphlet, actually, from January. It was released January of 1993. It's called Captain America: Return of the Asthma Monster.
I'm sorry. Okay. Did you say the asthma monster?
Yes. So this is Marvel Comics, Compliments of Your Physician, and Allen and Hanbury's, which is an old, like medical company.
Yeah.
And you have the asthma monster talking to his minions, and this is the cover: eliminate Captain America, my allergen gang, and we can spread asthma across the globe. That's what I imagine he sounds. Or he's probably like, eliminate, something a little wheezy.
You sounded like Rita Repulsa there for a second.
Yeah. So that's one that I found recently. And I was just like, I had never seen anything like this, like a medical pamphlet with Captain America on it.
That's dope,
and I was like, I gotta buy it. So that was
my brain is going nuts. Like, what do you think his minions call him? Your wheeziness or something like that.
Your dustiness. You're so dusty.
Your allergeniness. You allergen ginger. The other one that I found is I found a She-Hulk / the Incredible Hulk. I'm really not sure, because this is something I have to talk to you guys who are the true professionals in the comic book world. This is 159 of the Incredible Hulk, She-Hulk. It's a lenticular cover, okay, and it's got the leader on it.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it's wow. So it's lenticular. It says Marvel Legacy. The leader lives to destroy She-Hulk. The leader lives, and it's, I really don't know much about it. I just thought this was like the coolest cover I've ever seen. And so I had to buy that. And if you have any info, I'd love to hear that. And then another one that I got, just because I'm a huge fan of werewolves, and also, Chris, I knew you'd enjoy this, so I had to buy it myself. The Incredible Hulk versus Werewolf by Night.
Very cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then She-Hulk 159 is the one that you were holding up a moment ago, the lenticular, and that's by let's see here. I don't know if I actually can find the author here, but this is an homage to Incredible Hulk 159, which is an iconic leader cover. So it's interesting that we're getting a lot of leader information right now due to him showing up in Captain America: New World Order. So, and obviously he's a giant Hulk villain. So, and then obviously, like you said, Aaron, you have the Werewolf by Night with the Hulk. Another two big revelations that we just found out from D23 this last weekend with Werewolf by Night trailer, which looks amazing. So
yes,
topical, Aaron. I loved it. You love to see it. I love to see it.
I just wanted to say also, like, I did pick up other versions that I found of these lenticulars. Like I did find the Captain America or Captain Marvel / Incredible Hulk. Not sure if you can see that.
Lenticular,
yeah. And then the other one that I found was the Fantastic Four, the Unbelievable Gwenpool.
Oh, nice
version.
Yeah. I think those are going to be like for kids right now, like our foils of the 90s, because there was just so many of them, right? And that's the gimmick that they were using now. But they're cool, man. They're really cool.
The Tim Blake Nelson kind of Easter egg / loose thread that they had there in the Hulk, that always felt like one of the more obvious. What are they going to do here? Are they ever going to touch on that again? And the fact that they're figuring out a way to do that with Tim Blake Nelson, him coming back into the MCU is, I think, really, really cool. I think especially for, again, like you guys said, a movie that I'll be honest, I've shown people the MCU for the first time and they're like, well, that's weird. It's not Mark Ruffalo. It's not the same actor. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess we probably could just skip it. It's very like up to this point in the MCU, it is kind of for nothing. But then now we've got She-Hulk with Abomination. And then obviously now we're going to have Tim Blake Nelson coming back. It's all kind of coming together now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's reason enough to go revisit that film, because if Abomination is coming out of it and the leader is coming out of it, there might be other little hidden gems that people haven't even considered yet. But this isn't the speculation segment. This is the recent pickup segment. So, Chris, do you feel like you're prepared to jump into your recent pickup?
Oh, boy, am I ever. So for my recent pickup, this is something that I've been very excited for. I go through previews every single month, basically hound my local comic shop, which is the Fancy Shop, give them a laundry list of things that I'm going to order and then definitely buy the moment it comes out. And for this last month, this was one of the most excited I've been for an item to come out in recent memory. And it is Dr. Doom, the Book of Doom Omnibus. Okay.
Wow. Whoa.
And not only is this over 1,000 pages of Victor Von Doom goodness, but this is also the direct market variant cover of the Omnibus. So the normal cover is a Giuseppe Camicoli cover. It's kind of just like Dr. Doom with his fist out, kind of making some kind of Kirby crackle. This is the John Byrne cover where it has all of the Marvel heroes kind of bowing down to Doom, as they should, if I'm being honest. And the reason why I love this so much, now I'm looking on the back here and it says 6 decades of Doom, and it covers basically everything you need to know about Dr. Doom. Every giant storyline, whether that's from Fantastic Four, whether that's from Marvel Superheroes Presents, X-Men, Iron Man, the Emperor Doom storyline. We have the Doctor Strange, Dr. Doom, Triumph and Torment in this. We also have the Books of Doom, which is considered to be one of the most definitive Dr. Doom origins to date. And also extremely hard to get in trade paperback. I've wanted to own it for a long time, the Books of Doom trade paperback. But everyone listening to this right now, please just do me a favor, indulge me for a moment. Go to eBay and just see what the Books of Doom trade paperback is going for right now. It had such a low print run, and it was a very unsuccessful book when it initially came out, that the trade is, I think the last time I checked, like $80. And I am not doing that. So I'm so glad that I own it now, along with every other definitive Dr. Doom story that I need to know. So yeah, like I said, Dr. Doom, the Book of Doom, this is probably my favorite omnibus that I own now. And I'm so happy to have it.
That's really cool. I did not even know they were coming out with that. Shouldn't be surprising because I don't generally pay a lot of attention to the big two for the newer stuff. I trust Jesus to tell me when something important is happening, but he did not tell me that this was happening.
Not gonna lie. That one slipped through the cracks. I'm jealous now because Doom First of all, can we talk about like how Doom is such a really cool villain and how Marvel has
The
a lot of
coolest.
cool villains?
Is the best.
Oh, he's easily top 25 villain for sure.
Yeah, the top
25.
He's in the top one of best villains in all of comics.
He's in the top 2, and he's not 2.
But Chris isn't biased. He's not biased.
I'm not biased though. No, I'm just to be fair. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm just saying he's the best, and there's no other right answer. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, who else is out there? You got Galactus out there. You got Thanos out there.
Galactus isn't a villain. He's a force of nature. He just does what the universe wills.
Yeah, he just eats food. He just wants to eat food, man. So
yeah,
that's a dope one, man. That one did slip through the cracks, so I'm gonna have to be looking for one now.
I mean, he's right up there with Mole Man and the Sentinels and
Dr. Bong.
Those henchmen,
Dr. Bong,
Stilt Man.
Yeah, the henchmen with no name tags.
Kite
he's
Man.
right up there with those guys.
Condiment Man.
Condiment Man.
Condiment King, is that his name? I don't remember.
The
Waffler.
Yep, the waffle. No, Chris,
Big
thank
wheel.
you. Thank you very much for sharing that recent pickup. That, I got to say, you could win. You might win the segment with that book.
There's only one left to champion my pickup, and I think
true. It's true. There's one left, and it's me. And Jesus and I were kind of on the same page. I'm not gonna act like I'm gonna change it right at last minute. This is book 11 for A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. I picked it up and I literally read it in my car because this series had me on the edge of my seat every single month. It was the most tense comic series I have ever read because the tension that they build up, Rick Remender and Andre Lima Araujo, like, I don't know how to explain it, but you're so wound up waiting on pins and needles for the next thing to happen. And the characters continue to dig themselves into holes where you're just, I don't know. It reminds me of those moments in the horror thriller movies where, did you ever see Don't Breathe? Did anybody see Don't Breathe? Like the tension, with Stephen Lang, the tension in that movie where you're just like, you find yourself like, I got to breathe. I forgot to breathe for the last 2 minutes. I forgot, like, the whole point.
It's basically what if Daredevil was a veteran and murderer?
And had a fridge full of his own semen.
Yeah.
Don't leave that part out.
That's the movie, not the book that I was. But in A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, the tension is real. You can feel it wind up all the way to the very end. Can't recommend it enough. Go get your hands on A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. They just finished the series, which means a trade is going to be coming out soon. Highly recommend it. You can read it end to end. It'll keep you on your toes.
I heard the hype about this book, and I actually was at my local comic book shop today. I saw the 11th issue, and I thought, I'm putting this on my special orders list today. I need the trade. I'm not really a singles guy myself, not generally. Every once in a while, I'll collect an artist or a cover I really love, take it to a convention, get it signed. But for the most part, I am strictly trades. And like you said, this seems, again, I was just judging it by the cover. I didn't even know what the story was. I saw Rick Remender, I saw the cover, and I said, I'm in. So yeah, I'll let you know once I've read it. I'll let you know, Jake, how it is for me.
Please do.
Son of a bitch, I'm in.
Well, guys, I'm going to reserve doling out points until the end of the episode, but you know where that takes us, though? You know where we're at?
Where we're going?
Grail tale. Grail tale. Grail tale. Grail tale. Grail tale.
The Grail Tale segment. That is correct.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was me recording, but not really.
That is Jake, by the way.
That one's not me. So we've got somebody would actually have to harmonize in order to do that. And it wasn't me. It's not Jesus either. It's not the beard. So we've got the Grail Tale segment. We need to know, does anybody happen to have a coin on them? Because I've been trying to figure this out and I want to make it fair. A coin, something that you can flip, a bottle perhaps.
Aha. I have a Lucario Pokemon coin.
Oh,
perfect.
Now we got to go with that.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
I had
Chris.
a fancy shop die, but yeah, that sounds better.
It's a good effort, Chris, but you lost.
Yep.
Suck it. Suck it.
Suck it, Chris.
Okay, so Aaron, you have the coin, so you get to go first with your Grail Tale.
Oh, is that? That's fair.
Suck it, Aaron.
All right. So my Grail tale, I'll bring this up real quick, is Star Slayer number 2. Okay.
All right.
This is. I probably should have done a little more research on it.
Welcome to my life, everyone.
The Log of the Jolly Roger. Okay. This comic, I don't really know much about Star Slayer. All I know is that my buddy who works at my LCS, George, he calls me up one day and he's like, "Hey man, I got a surprise for you in your box. Make sure you ask me about it on Wednesday when you come in for your new comic books." And I'm like, okay, what does that even mean? And so I walk in there and he's like, "Here you go," and he slides it out. Just like, do you remember the scene in Last Action Hero when the movie theater guy gives the kid the ticket, the movie theater ticket? That's what it felt like. And he just like slides it across the desk. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I've never even, like, if you look at this cover, it is the most batshit cover of a comic book ever. Chris, while I continue rambling, would you please look up the story of Star Slayer
on it,
if you don't mind? This is what I do during the show. I help him up by Google and stuff as well. But anyways, the whole reason behind this is because my friend George, my LCS go-to guy, knows that I love The Rocketeer.
Yes.
And Star Slayer number 2 is the first appearance ever of The Rocketeer.
That is awesome.
Nice.
Amazing.
And so for me, like, that was, and it's, I wouldn't even call it necessarily a true, like, I mean, to me, it is a Grail tale because I love The Rocketeer. I have the cardboard cutout. I have like multiple virgin covers from the new series, the old series. But for me, mostly this book represents something that I have never had before. And that is a connection, like a friendship in a situation like this, where somebody has just been like, "Hey man, I found this for you." Like, not something I didn't even know that I needed. And it really represents the comic book experience that I've had so far. So that's why for me, this is my Grail, because I am a person who, more than what a book is worth, more than its contents, there's a representation and an experience that this adventure of comic book and nerdiness, my best friend Chris, meeting you guys, being on this show, meeting my friend George, who knows me well enough to find the most weird ass looking book that is the first appearance of one of my favorite characters in my entire life. Like, one of my first real cosplays was a dark version of the Rocketeer that I took to Dragon Con. And so for me, it's just like, it represents so much more than just the book or the character or what is in between the cover and the back cover. So that's why it's my Grail tale.
It shows the true value of brick and mortar comic shops. The community is the most important part. You can buy comics on Amazon or on eBay, but brick and mortar comic shops need to be around. Aaron would have never had this experience were we reading our comics digitally, right? So I think this is a great example of that, and there's a billion more of those type of situations.
Yeah. One of the other things is like, and I'll even say this is one of the other things that I own that's a Grail tale. And this is, I apologize for taking a little bit more time.
You're fine.
But for my last birthday, where my brother was actually in town, we hadn't seen each other for about 8 years. He gave me a first edition vinyl print of the Trouble Man record, which, if you remember from Captain America and the Winter Soldier, that's the record that Sam Wilson tells Steve Rogers to look up because it explains everything that he missed.
Yep.
And so like I have that album.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's another Grail tale, but you got 2 for 1 there.
2 for 1. Well, geez, that's pretty damn nice of you. That I don't want to say it is because, but I also get this hunch that maybe you were thinking that you need to outdo Chris a little bit. And that's
Chris, did you find out what Star Slayer's about?
Yes, I could read that really quick if we got some time here.
Go right ahead.
The origin and life of the Celtic barbarian Tauren, who in the year 43 AD, struggles to keep his people free against the Roman Empire is shown, and then during an epic battle, Torrin, expecting to die fighting the remaining free, finds that he is in a different destiny in Starslayer. Script by Mike Krill, and this is also art by Dave Stevens. And obviously, it says here again, first full appearance of Rocketeer. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, first appearance in Origin of Rocketeer. So Jake knows this, but Rocketeer is also one of my favorite characters as well, especially with the, what was it, early 90s movie of the Rocketeer.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was one of the ones that I spoke about, and I told Jake, pick this up because it's going to be a thing. You know, Disney owns it. It's going to be. Jake said no. I don't want to.
I did not.
I don't know what you're talking about. And then they announced it that they're going to be making a Disney Plus show of the Rocketeer, which I think it's awesome because I think it's just a cool character. There's a lot of ways they can do it. A lot of ways they can go with it. But yeah, but more so than the character and the book itself, like you mentioned, everything you talked about. I mean, that's why I feel I love the community and I'm in the community and I want to be a part of the community, is because that's what it's about, right? Like that's what it's about. And Chris, you mentioned it, like we need LCSs and we won't know how much we need them until they're gone. And hopefully they're never going to be gone. But you know, it's tough because not everybody has an LCS. It's difficult to start an LCS. The whole thing with publishing and distribution and stuff is difficult for those guys to make money, but they're a valuable resource to the community. I think Jake has a great one where they put stuff aside for him. I unfortunately don't have a good solid LCS that's close to me. I have to like go out of my way, and it's not really an LCS because it's not local, right? It's a non-local LCS. So that's an amazing story, man. I'm glad you shared it with us, and I'm glad you got that book. That's although the cover is crazy, it's still a cool book.
Yeah, no, I think that is the perfect example about why LCSs are important, but also that's why we do the Grail Tale segments, because everybody's Grail Tale really is different. But I will say everybody's Grail Tale tends to usually involve a relationship and something along those lines. The book is only a portion of why it's important for the most part, right? Now, there are certainly grails that are just, I got the one book I've been trying to get for years and years and years. But I think it's rare. I don't know that we've ever had anybody just come on here for their Grail Tale and say, I got it on eBay, right? Like that's not how it usually goes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's rare.
That said, I think you got yours on eBay, right? Your Grail. Isn't that what you were saying? It was just, you bought it in 2 minutes.
It's on eBay. It's on my store. I'm selling it. I don't want it anymore. So,
well, let's tell the Grail Tale before you actually sell the book. How about that?
Right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and let me tell the tale before I ship it off to some unsuspecting fella or gal. So let's go back in time, everyone. Close your eyes. Come with me on this journey, if you will.
Come with me. And you'll be
Aaron likes to sing when I tell these stories.
Imagination.
Keep going.
2016. Okay. I'm a young pup in the comic world. That's probably where I am the most like wide-eyed in comics, right? Like I don't know as much as I'm not as jaded as I am now, right? I still love comics, but the world is my oyster kind of thing right now in the world of comics. MCU is booming, and there's a big Comic-Con coming into town. Well, not really into town. I had to drive a little bit further out of my way, but Cincinnati Comic-Con. This is when I was living in Indianapolis. So it's about a 2-hour drive to Cincinnati. And there's a giant guest there. Okay. I'll save that for here just a bit. But
a giant, like a real giant?
No. He's actually a normal sized fella, but giant in terms of bombastic.
Chris loves that
like
word.
Andre
bombastic.
the Giant.
Not Andre the Giant. I think he actually is a giant. No, this is just actually a kind of an older, more decrepit, older man. Okay.
Now, real quick, is this Comic-Con an actual Comic-Con, or was it one of the ones that was sued and forced to change its name because it had used the term Comic-Con, which is actually now owned by Comic-Con?
I think it's just called Comic-Con. This is before all of the San Diego Comic-Con suing went down. So this is in 2016.
Everybody
suing.
You get a lawsuit. You get a lawsuit. You get a lawsuit. Everybody.
So I go to my local comic shop at the time in Indianapolis called Downtown Comics, and I say, hey, this person will be at Cincinnati Comic-Con. What would you recommend that I take with me? And he gives me Fantastic Four Annual #2, from 1964.
Nice.
It's one of the most iconic Doctor Doom covers of all time. Are you guys seeing a trend here, by the way? I have a specific topic that I'm covering here on all of my picks.
Very doom and gloom.
72 big pages. All right. Number 2, 1964. See the pulse pounding, suspense, never before revealed origin of Doctor Doom. And this is, again, like I just said, origin of Doctor Doom. And I go to this event and I'm waiting in line. There's a bunch of drapes. I wait in line for about an hour, 2 hours, a bunch of drapes. It's finally my time to get up there. I open the curtain and there he is. Stan Lee is right there in front of me, 10 feet away from me. And I blacked out. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't remember actually physically meeting him, but when he was close, I remember, I kind of vaguely remember saying, thank you for what you've done. At this time in 2016, Stan Lee was 94. So he was, kind of near the tail end. I think he passed away in 2018. So I have this comic that I have here in front of me. I have it in my hand, and I hand it to him and I say, hey, I just appreciate everything that you've done. And I hand it to him. And here's my favorite part of this Grail Tale is that when I hand it to him, and this guy, Stan Lee, has signed every comic you could ever think of, comics he hasn't worked on, comics that he worked on 50 years ago, all the things. He's had Amazing Fantasy 15 in his hand. He's had Fantastic Four 1 in his hand. I hand him Fantastic Four Annual number 2. And the look on his face was truly just special because he said, I remember working on this. This is awesome. And again, looking at it, it's the iconic Doctor Doom handout with the Fantastic Four kind of smaller around him.
Yep.
And he signed it for me. And it's a moment that I will cherish forever, getting to meet Stan. And at the same time, I believe that everything in my collection has a price. I won't sell everything just willy nilly, but if you really want it and you think you're willing to pay a crazy price, sure. This is the only thing in my possession that I will never, ever give up. This will go down in my family for as long as my kids allow it, unless they want to sell it off. But and just for collectors, it's obviously a CGC. It's a 5.0. Signed by Stan Lee on September 24th. So that's actually next week.
Yep.
So
the anniversary is coming up.
That's right. 2016. Stan Lee story, Jack Kirby, and Chick Stone cover art. So yeah, there's my Grail Tale.
I'm a little sad because Chris, I specifically remember giving you something that was Doctor Doom themed that I believe might have been a perfect 10.
Aaron gave me I forget the company now, but he gave me a graded card. Remember the old school Marvel superhero cards?
Yes.
The trading cards? He gave me a 10.0 of Doctor Doom with, I think it had some classic, I'm pretty sure it was Jack Kirby. I have like a whole level on my case of just all Doctor Doom stuff, and it's in there. And it's
and amazingly, that was not his
Grail Tale.
Somehow.
And it's for sale, apparently.
It is for sale.
And it's for sale. Somehow Stan Lee beat me.
Well, Aaron, now tell me this, Aaron. Which number is bigger, 5 or 10?
Oh,
I think 10 is bigger, right? 10's a bigger number.
Ask my ex-wife.
Oh my God.
She'll say 5.
She'll say 5.
No, that's an incredible story. It's awesome that you got to meet Stan, no matter what age he was and what stage he was in his life. I think that's fantastic. And the fact that you got that book graded and signed and protected, right? Like that's the point. People do ask me often, why do you get the book slabbed? That means you can't read it. Isn't that the point of the comic book? I was like, well, no, not for a book that was published in 1964. That's that precious to you. If it is that precious, you will protect the book. There are other ways to read that book digitally. Now, everybody can have their own perspective on that. If you want to keep your books raw, of course you do it. I personally want to protect and slab the most precious books in my collection. I think that's pretty incredible. It wasn't a white pages copy, which that's just,
off white. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and that's okay. That there's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't feel bad about not having a white pages copy.
Chris, don't feel bad about it. Stop. Don't. And you know what? I agree with you 100%. I I actually love slabbing. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a true blue comic fan. I've read more comics than I can even like name off the top of my head. And the thing is, comics come in many formats. You don't have to necessarily, again, like you said, if it's precious to you, get it slabbed. It'll be encased in that forever as long as you allow it to be. And if you remember from our previous section, Book of Doom has that comic in this book. I can read that story whenever I want.
So I have a question on it too, because that's the old label, right? So it's an old label on it.
Yeah, it's got the second generation CGC label.
And then I guess my question too, when you got it done, did you know about pressing and cleaning back then?
No.
Or no?
Nope.
So,
I literally bought this off the wall from my comic shop, took it to Stan Lee from there,
and just signed it. So would you consider having them press clean it to see if there's a possibility, and then also putting it in a newer label?
Absolutely, yeah, because I think Dr. Doom just got a new custom label. Now, my only worry is that I don't know if they would be able to press and do all that stuff with his signature on there.
They
right?
can.
Oh, they can. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, they can.
That's a real possibility. I'd love to see where it can go, because not to be tacky and talk about full on prices, but this annual number 2 has been jumping in price mostly because Doom is right around the corner, guys. We're going to get him within the next, I'm going to say 5 years in the MCU. So everyone is jumping at the
Jake's
opportunity.
shaking his head no.
Jake's like, no, it won't happen. They won't use them.
Never gonna happen, Chris. Never gonna fucking happen. Not in my watch.
I will make sure of it, damn it.
Now, guys, I don't want to say this, but we're kind of leaking into the next segment with what we're talking about here.
Yes,
so we can certainly talk about Doom. I have a feeling we're going to anyway, Chris.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Spoiler, no spoiler. But thank you so much for sharing that. Both of them are wonderful Grail tales. Although I will say, I think I'm going to have to lean towards Aaron on this one. Only because
he didn't meet Stan Lee. What the hell?
He didn't have to meet. He met George. And that was
damn you, George.
But you know what, guys?
George got me again.
The points don't really matter. So let us just continue on in this journey and move on to the next segment.
Speculation. This is scary.
Sometimes speculation is scary, but you have to go into the unknown to try to come out with gold. Right? That's how caves work.
Exactly right.
Fortune favors the bold.
All right. This segment is notoriously led off by Jesus, so I'm going to go with Chris.
Hey, everyone. I got another Dr. Doom book.
No spoilers.
So there's a funny story. This is like a semi-grail tale / speculation story. Okay. So one of our, and also a shameless plug as well. On the Oblivion Bar, we are sponsored by Shortbox, the easiest and safest way to buy graded comics. Use our code OBP15 at checkout for anyway.
They are a sponsor.
Hashtag they are a sponsor. And they just released a new beta feature on their app where you can pay in 4. This is not an ad. Don't turn off the show. This is not an ad. Okay. They just released a pay for 4, which means you can pay in 4 installments on PayPal. And I thought, wow, amazing. I can finally buy some comics that are way out of my price range, right? It's going to keep going, everyone. So my first thought was there's this iconic Dr. Doom cover, which is Marvel Superhero Presents Dr. Doom number 20. Okay. And this is a first appearance of Valeria. Now, this is not Valeria, Fantastic Four daughter Valeria. This is the love interest of Dr. Doom. The reason why I'm saying this is my speculation book is because I think, again, once Dr. Doom shows up in the MCU, we're going to get Valeria almost immediately. She is like his voice of reason. So Doom is kind of like the biggest helpless romantic in the world of comics, but begrudgingly. He hates the fact that he has any emotions. He often tries to prove otherwise, but it always resorts back. Like, you could even see it in the relationship between him and Reed. They say they hate each other, but in reality, you can tell they probably really care for each other. All that being said as well, the other interesting thing about Valeria, outside of just being the love interest of Dr. Doom, is that, okay, a little small tangent. when Valeria was being born, this is the Fantastic Four daughter. When she was being born, Reed and Thing and Johnny are off world. They can't think. Doctor Strange comes in. I can't think. Somebody else comes in, and they're like, nobody can figure out why Sue is having these complications with her pregnancy. So they call in Dr. Doom because he's the only one that can fix this. And he says, oh, hey, I know exactly what to do here, but I require one thing. I get to name your daughter. And he names her Valeria. And that's where the story comes from. And again, to kind of go back on my original point was weird.
That. Yeah. He helped.
Guys, he's a narcissist. Okay. We knew this already. he
groomed her.
The fact that he didn't name her Victor is kind of a win, in my opinion. Like he could have named her like
Victoria.
Victoria. Yeah. Literally he could have, and it would have been completely within character. Another reason why this is a spec book is because this is, again, one of the most iconic covers in Doctor Doom's history. And it's a 4.0 CGC. To kind of go back on the original point, though, short box with the pay in 4, I messed up. I found the comic. I wanted it. I sent an offer. The thing that sucks is that I didn't realize that when you send an offer, you don't get to pay for 4. You have to pay for it all in that moment. So this comic that was way outside my price range that I've sent an offer out on, I had to pay in full when it was accepted. So I told Aaron about this, and I was like, "Oh my god, I just spent way too much money."
But I love my friend, but he's a dummy. He's a big dummy.
Marvel Superheroes number 20. There's my grill, or not my grill, though, my speculation book.
It's a good book. It's a good speculation, and I know I was joking about it a little bit about not seeing Doom. I don't see how we can not see Doom, honestly. With Fantastic Four coming, he is almost a must with regards to those characters. To a certain extent, I feel like it's unfortunate that they've already tried to do the Doom character twice now. And now Disney has the difficult task of trying to do it again. But doing it right. Now, the thing that I think helps is they are going to tie Doom to some of his most iconic storylines.
Like Kang.
With Kang and Thea. I know you have that theory. But I was talking Secret Wars. I don't believe we are going to get Secret Wars without Doom. So you can guarantee the character is coming. However, his early stuff is super, super expensive. His first appearance is Fantastic Four number 5, correct?
Yes.
Which you might as well be buying Fantastic Four number 1 at that point. So,
which is
I just looked at 4.0 CGC on Shortbox was $14,000. So
yeah, for a villain.
Hey, 4 payments though.
Pay for 4.
Oh, not if you do an offer though. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, don't offer 12.
Also, Spec Tales podcast is now sponsored by Shortbox as well. Thank you, Chris.
They told me they would give me $20 to mention it on your show.
Every time you say Shortbox, you get $20.
Oh boy. Well, Jesus, we're going to get in trouble by Certified Comic Shop because we actually just got a sponsorship from certifiedcomic.shop. So we can't mention Shortbox without also mentioning.
Can we in post? Can we just every time Chris says Shortbox, we just put certifiedcomic.shop?
It's just Jesus' voice. Certified.
We had to mention it, right? Okay, yes. Jesus, why don't you go next?
All right, piggybacking off of Doom, not really. I have I guess, if anybody's watching She-Hulk, which I hope people are, there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in there. And if you are not watching She-Hulk, you're sleeping on it because, one, it's an entertaining and fun show. 2, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. There's a lot of stuff that you could miss. I mean, Jake missed some stuff. I had to go back and tell him, hey, man, you got to watch the whole thing through because you can't just stop at the end sequence, right? There's more stuff to it, okay? This is for intellectuals, Jake, okay? You have to watch it.
I missed one thing. Good God.
Which comic premiered She-Hulk twerking? Was it Sensational She-Hulk 13 or 15? First cameo or what are we searching
it just depends. Like there's like half a cheek on one and then the other half on the other. So it just
which one was Megan Thee Stallion in?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
She's actually in the sensational She-Hulk run, not the
issue 69.
So what I'm talking about is in the last episode there was a Easter egg, obviously at the end, very obvious, about Daredevil, right? So we already know Daredevil's going back, all this stuff. And
he was in the teaser trailer. It wasn't an Easter egg.
Sure, whatever. However you want to call it, Jake. Let's say intellectuals call it Easter eggs, okay? So when we had, I think it was our friend Dan, he talked about reprints, right? So I said, obviously Daredevil #1 is super difficult to get a hold of. So I was like, where did Daredevil get reprinted? Well, Daredevil got reprinted in Marvel Superheroes #1. It's the reprint of Daredevil #1, the first appearance of Daredevil. And it's from 1966. It has a really cool cover. It's called Marvel Superheroes #1. That's my pick. Let me show it to you guys. You guys can see it. Marvel Superheroes.
Well, that's the same series that mine's from.
Exactly. So I was piggybacking off of
that's right.
The king size special.
So there you go. So that's the reprint of it.
I don't think I've seen
really
that
affordable
before.
right now. Yeah. I mean, it's not that common, and it's a king
Should have
size
been
too.
the king size special.
Nailed it.
There you go. So high, real good grade. You're looking at 150, 200 right now, but there's a lot of room in that book since it is the first reprint of the Daredevil #1. So that's my spec pick for this week.
Yeah, and definitely an old book. Silver Age, can't go wrong. So I couldn't agree more, Jesus. I think that's a good call, and it's relevant to She-Hulk. So
yes,
great job.
Everybody on this panel loves She-Hulk.
Yep. She-Hulk is awesome. Honestly, Aaron and I were talking about it in 2 weeks on the show, and it is. And also, Aaron's got a mommy sorry affection for She-Hulk. So
I got a snoo kink.
even like the show's good, but also Aaron's really into Jennifer in her Hulk form. He's basically that girl or that guy from the Cinder Day episode. That's him.
Yeah. Don't go back to regular. Just stay in She-Hulk form, please.
Speaking of Aaron, do you have a speculation book to share with us today?
I do. And to piggyback off of what Jesus said,
let's go.
So, my book is also from 1966.
Oh,
okay.
We're really staying in that that 60s range.
Yeah. So published March 1st, 1966, written by Stan Lee, penciled by none other than the Jack Kirby, the man himself of the Kirby Crackle, is Thor.
Oh,
Thor.
Love this
126.
Nice.
This is the epic cover. Epic cover.
Yes. So this is the Thor versus Hercules cover. It says the mighty Thor, whom the gods would destroy. And so this is actually kind of, I picked this one because if you've seen, Love and Thunder, then you've seen the post-credit scene where, forgive me, I forget his name, but the dude from Ted Lasso, Roy, is going to.
I think his last name, isn't it Goldstein, his last name?
Yeah, I think so. But he's, taking on the role of Hercules. And so we see him kind of standing up as Zeus is speaking to him and basically saying, hey, you're get ready for a fight. And so this is, I think that we're going to see this cover, this battle eventually, unless they pull another thing where they're like, they retcon a post-credit scene like they have done in the past, like Marvel and Disney have done in the past. I don't think they'll do that this time, but it says the heavens rumble as two gods do battle for the love of one mortal woman. Meanwhile, Odin inflicts his punishment on Thor. So I think that is a natural course of where we're going.
Jesus, am I remembering correctly? Have I heard on the Spec Tales that you used to have like a ton of copies of this comic?
This comic of Jima #1?
No, the Mighty Thor.
The Mighty Thor,
the one that Aaron just went over. Am I remember that correctly, or is that
No.
another show that I've listened to? There was a show I was listening to recently where someone had that particular issue. They had like 5 or 6 of them, and they sold one of them or something. I can't remember when it was.
Well, we've talked on this show heavily about Hercules. We've been speculating on Hercules for over a year now, and the book that we were speculating on is Hercules' first appearance, which is Journey into Mystery Annual #1.
That's the one. Yep.
And that was actually me who owned 6 copies of it.
That's right. Okay. I knew there was something there.
I went
a nugget there.
A little overboard, I will admit. But that is another one of the epic Hercules covers. That's definitely a better cover than Journey into Mystery Annual #1. I tell you what, though, hell of a speculation. I don't know if you keep acting like you're a novice here, but you just won the segment and I haven't even gone yet. So congratulations on winning that 2 segments in a row.
It's a clean sweep. Especially with the Pokemon.
That's true.
The coin that he had.
Yeah,
Lucario.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna close this out with my speculation book. This one is going to be in relation to some recent news that we just received that we are going to get another, not Hellblazer, sorry, Constantine. We're going to get Constantine back. And Keanu Reeves is taking the role back up. They are doing a sequel to the original movie from 2004. I'm a big fan of the movie. Really, I'm a big fan of like the last 30 minutes. The first hour is okay. It's an okay movie. I'm not a huge fan of the graphics. However, the final 30 minutes, whoa. Love it when the devil comes in. No spoilers. Don't worry about it.
He's so good.
Yeah, but it's really good. But I'm looking at specifically Hellblazer #1. This is not Constantine's first appearance. However, this is his #1 first standalone story. This is an undervalued book. You can get a really high grade of this book for like $50. I'm not even joking. You can go down to your LCS. I actually recently saw this book at my LCS just last week for $60, and it was a near mint. So they're out there, and they're not that hard to find. It's from 1988. The other one, the bonus one I'm going to throw out, is Hellblazer 41. This is a grossly undervalued book you can get for dirt cheap, probably in the dollar bins, published in 1941. It is the first published work in the US for Garth Ennis. Like, if you're a fan of Preacher, if you are a fan of Garth Ennis's work, you want to go and get his first published work in the United States. Hellblazer 41 is a great book, cool cover, just one of those little neat books to add to your collection that I can only imagine is going to go up in value as people continue to realize what a gift Garth Ennis was with regards to his writing. So that's my spec.
It is. Hold on. Garth Ennis is the one you guys talked about recently on one of your episodes where when he needs more money, he does another story or something. Was that?
Yeah. So that was our the last Ronin with the Comics Collective. We can always tell when Garth Ennis wants some more money when he wants a new pool because he'll do a superhero book and people will buy it because he's great. But he is notorious for hating superheroes, which is why most of his best work revolves around either no superheroes whatsoever or making fun of them and holding a mirror up to the idiocy of some of his least favorite parts. I was going to say as well, Aaron recently just sent in a bunch of books and cards to CGC for us, a big old bundle. And one of those books is Saga of Swamp Thing, number 41. I can't remember what it's 40s. It's first appearance of John Constantine in the comics. Yes. And I think it's 40 if I'm not mistaken, but it's
which one, the yellow cover?
Yes.
It's 30. It's 37.
37. Yep. Thank 37. You. Yes.
It's a beautiful cover, man. I love that cover.
Yep. And I've gotten mine pressed. It is clean. I'm telling you right now, the copy that I bought was essentially, it was in a short box since a week after it was taken off the shelf. This is I'm almost positive this is going to come back at 9.8. If it doesn't come back at 9.8, 9.6, I'll be very, very disappointed. And 9.8 for that goes very, very high. So,
yes,
and I told Aaron, that's already one that the moment I get, it's going straight on eBay because I really don't have any like attachment to Constantine, really. Honestly, like the part of the reason why I want to get it great is because I have the Saga of Swamp Thing is my favorite run of all time. And that book was just kind of sitting there. I wanted to get it graded because it's really the only issue in that series that has any value.
Yeah.
So the weird thing is, Chris, that I sent in the comics.
But I sent in the comics
and the cards at the same exact time. And I've already gotten
the cards back.
Get the card backs,
but they haven't even processed the books yet.
Oh man, that stinks. Whatever. I'm not in any big hurry, but yeah, it's one of those things that and I to kind of piggyback off what you're saying there, Jake, is that Constantine, if you've never read Hellblazer, oh my gosh, give it a read. It is awesome. It's so good. And at one point when I was collecting singles, I think it was 1 through 200. I had the entire run.
Really?
And I sold the entire run whenever I sold my entire collection. Aaron, I'm telling the story. Aaron's showing Pokemon cards off.
I'm sorry. Did you say something, Chris? I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying, Chris. I was looking at Aaron.
His shining Charizard.
I completely agree. Go read that. The run is great. Hellblazer is a great series. I was always a fan of Constantine. And actually in Deceased, Constantine was one of my favorite characters in if you ever read Deceased. He does they really do him justice in that as well, because it matches his character, his person. Jesus and Aaron are essentially doing their own show now where they just show cards to each other.
Showing each other
the
Pokemon
camera.
cards.
Guys, this is an audio medium. You guys, it doesn't work.
Nobody would know unless
The
you
listeners-
said something. But there
the
you go.
listeners
See?
have
Don't
no
be
idea.
suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
All right. Well, I was going to award Aaron with the full you won the episode, but in fact, I actually just won the episode with my
Your ability to pay attention.
Exactly.
Yay!
But it was a close I want to say though, it was a close call, everybody. For everybody except for Jesus.
Sucks.
There you go.
Pot of greed banned.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun, as I knew it was going to be. And I cannot wait for us to collaborate again, because I can't imagine this is going to be the last time, especially with how well this always works out when we do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having us on. As always, like you said, echo all that. It's been fun. This has been a very enjoyable Grail Tale episode, and we're excited to come back. We'll come back anytime. And obviously, you're always welcome on the Oblivion Bar as well. I'm sure once we find some kind of long form, 3-hour long episode, we'll have you guys on. Try to beat our old record.
Let's deconstruct the entire MCU.
The DCEU Part 2.
Oh God!
What else is wrong with the DCEU?
Let's have an entire segment dedicated to Ezra Miller.
We might need some alcohol for that episode.
Yeah.
Well, everybody out there listening, go check out the Oblivion Bar podcast. Just click it, follow it, do whatever you need to do so it downloads automatically every week when it comes out. You are not going to be disappointed. They talk about everything, pop culture, nerd culture. You're going to enjoy it. But make sure you listen to it just after you listen to the next episode of Spectacles. Sorry, guys.
If you've already
Jesus
listened
makes
to
me.
Spectales and you feel like listening to something else, obviously listen to Spectales first and then come over to the Oblivion Bar if you have some time or if you feel like it.
Consider it a palate cleanser, you know, just
Exactly.
cleanse that palate and then go do something else with your day, you know.
Awesome. Go check them out, everybody. And as always, thanks for listening. Have a good week.
If I could just quickly chime in for a second. So it's Joe Fixit as the Gangster Hulk.
Joe Fixit.
Joe Fixit. Yeah. There you go.
And it was Joe something. And then the lenticular
One of
cover-
the weakest
yeah,
personalities of the Hulk.
but one of the smartest. So it's like you kind of the trade-off, right? And I think that's kind of where they're kind of somewhat getting away from in the MCU. I wish they would give these characters some like drawback, because it seems like the Hulk is pretty much the same Hulk we've always known, just smarter right now. But that's another conversation.